Hello everybody and welcome to my critical thinking class. So far we have learned a lot about arguments, we have learned about different types of arguments, and today we are going to focus on a very important issue, very important aspect, that is inductive reasoning. And you can see that this is very practical, this is very common in life. Then what do we focus on today? What are the main issues? We have four main issues. First, we'll talk about inductive generalizations. This is very important. I'm going to focus mainly on this part. We talk about the idea of strong arguments, weak arguments. We also come to the idea of giving opinion polls and the margin of error as well. And then we move on to the second issue, that's statistical arguments. We also talk about things like strong, weak arguments, and we learn how to soften the arguments. We also talk about the idea of reliability and also the reference class. What is it? We're going to find out in the lesson today. Also, we talk about arguments from analogy. You know the word analogy, right? So we discuss how to argue, how to evaluate, how to increase the strength, the construct of arguments from analogy. And for part of this issue, you can just read at home. And the same thing for issue number 4, causal argument, you're going to read at home. Do more reading. You have the material, right? Okay. Now, so before we start, we are going to review something from the very basic. You can see, at the beginning of the course, we talk about arguments already. Then here are the 3 very basic concepts: argument, premises, and conclusion. Anybody can still remember the definitions? How do you understand these concepts? You can just, explain in your own way. Try for a second. Arguments in your own way. What does that mean? And premises, or we say reasons and conclusion. Okay? When you have got your answer already, just go with me. Now, arguments, it's a form of thinking, and we have thinking all the time in our life, right? It's a form of thinking in which certain statements, or we say the reasons, are given in order to support another statement or a conclusion. Then you can see in an argument there must be premises and a conclusion. And the premises are given just to support the conclusion. They are not offered, they are not given to make fun. There is a purpose for them to be there to support the conclusion. You can see it's easy now for the premises, right? They are statements. And they are there to support another statement, or we call a conclusion. The main purpose of the existence of the premises are to justify and to make the conclusion more possible, right? And conclusion, that's the final factor. A statement that explains, asserts, or predicts on the basis of the statements, on the basis of the reasons. So just remember, that's the conclusion, and we have the conclusion based on the premises. It doesn't mean that we draw a conclusion and it is based on something else, not the reasons, not the premises. Then what's the point there? What's the point for the reasons to be there? Right? Then that's the very close connection. You have premise, conclusion, and in a total big picture, that's arguments. Now there are two types of arguments, you know already. We have deductive arguments and inductive arguments. Still remember the differences? The very basic difference. Yeah, deductive arguments are the arguments and in which the conclusion follows necessarily from the premises. It means from the premises there should be just that conclusion. Remember? Yeah. That if you just, agree, you go with the reasons, you have to go with that conclusion. For inductive arguments, it's different in the way that they just talk about possibilities. The conclusion is just one of the possibilities. It is not the only solution, the only possibility. Then you can see the conclusion follows properly from the premises. Then we just argue and see whether this conclusion is the most possible, it is the strongest solution, the most appropriate solution. But remember, it is not the only one. Right? Then you can see in reality, with the same reasons, we may have different choices. But the thing is, maybe from different points of time, maybe now we have this choice, in the future it can be another choice. That is the best choice, but doesn't mean that it's the only choice. Right? Let us focus on some of the characteristics, the basic characteristics of arguments. You also learned this already. At the second or the third classes, I guess, at the beginning of the course. The deductive arguments, you can see if the premises are true, the conclusion must be true. We focus on logic. We just say if the premises are true. It means in reality, basically, the premises are facts, they are true. But sometimes, the premises are just hypotheses. And if we just follow the hypothesis, we have to come to that conclusion. And that's life. That's the way we predict. We have logics in our plan. And we draw and we bring people to the conclusion. And that's how in research we test our hypothesis. Because if the hypotheses are right, the conclusion must be like that. Right? But you can see in inductive arguments, if the premises are true, even if the premises are true, the conclusion is just a possibility. And think about your research as well, findings. Is it kind of inductive arguments or deductive arguments? You can see there can be many factors that affect the results. Is it right? Are you sure that your result is not affected by other factors? Then again, maybe the conclusion is just a possibility. You have to decide how sure, how certain you are. I mean, the level of certainty for your conclusion. That it can be easy for people to agree with you. Also think about the premises. For the deductive arguments, the premises provide conclusive evidence. It means, that's the evidence for you to come to the conclusion. But in inductive arguments, the premises are just good evidence, something for us to consider. It can be strong consideration. It doesn't mean that based on this and we have to choose something. Okay. Then you can see this is, inductive reasoning. We have learned already. Most critical thinking students improve greatly in their ability to analyze arguments, So you will probably improve greatly in your ability to analyze arguments. You have the word properly. Then you have the key indicators, or you can say the indicator words, to let you know that this is inductive reasoning, this is inductive argument. Likely, probably, it's plausible to suppose that, it's reasonable to believe that. It's a good method. Yeah. And also, how can we know that an argument is inductive or not? We have learned the four basic patterns, the four common patterns of inductive arguments. We have inductive generalization, statistical arguments, arguments from analogy, and causal arguments. Yeah, we have learned something, of these before the midterm, and now we are going to go more into details. We are going to see how we can just strengthen the arguments. I mean, these kind of arguments. Now let's go to inductive generalizations. First one, you can just guess from the word generalization. It comes from the adjective. What is it? General. And then the verb is generalize. And of course the noun, generalization. Right? Okay. What is it first? Yeah, it's a kind of argument that relies on some features of a simple population, and from the simple population we make a claim, a conclusion on the population as a whole as well. See whether your conclusion, your claim is reliable or not. Right? Think about the examples like, you go to the central of Vietnam, Hue, for example, and you meet just some people, you talk to some people, and then you guess you understand, wow, people in Hue, and when you come back, you say, Hue people are like this, and like this. Then based on the people you meet, the people you talk to, you have the conclusion about the whole people in Hue. Is that reliable? Think about that. Yeah. Or for example, you make friends. Yeah. You have many girlfriends and they are IU students. Yeah. And all of them are beautiful. Maybe 10 girlfriends. And then your conclusion is that, all the girls, all the IU female students are super beautiful. Are you sure? Then you can see from the sample population, you draw the conclusion about, the whole population. From the small sample, you draw the conclusion to the very big population. Yeah. Something like that. I know 5 of 6 truck drivers, and all of them are Democrats. So probably most truck drivers are Democrats. Then it's like 5 or 6 truck drivers represents most truck drivers. Is it clear, everybody? So it's generalization from a small population, and the conclusion is to the bigger population, the whole category, the whole group, the whole community. Yeah. On the fish Hoi-An has caught in Saigon River have weighed more than, less than 1 pound. So most of the fish in Saigon River weigh less than 1 pound. Then the same population, the fish Hoi-An has caught in Saigon River. Yeah, you can see, and from that sample, we draw the conclusion to, on the fish, most of the fish in Saigon River. Yeah. Then you can see in this case, we can make the argument stronger by just saying so many of the fish. But we don't say most of the fish. Yeah, we have to see the relevance of the sample population and how reliable it is for us to come to the conclusion. Think about this in the future when you do your research. And I know that at BA level, you often carry out questionnaires, surveys, right? Think of how many people you ask. Think of how large your participants is. Let's say you talk about, you have, a survey about the attitudes of learning online for the students at international university. And in IU, we have about 7,000 students. And now you have the survey to just 200. Oh, that's a very big number, 200. And from 200, you are so certain to draw a conclusion to all the students at international university. Think about that. Yeah. You can see the professor, lecturer, we love to question this point and see how you can answer, how you can certify, how you can explain for this. Yeah. Then don't put yourself in a harsh situation like that, right? Now, so in understanding inductive generalizations, we need to identify the sample population. Sample, how large it is. And also we need to know the population as a whole as well. For example, you want to get the attitudes of students at international university. Then think about who you should ask. How many people you should ask. Who are the participants? How many participants are necessary? Right? And remember, a good inductive argument should reach a conclusion that is appropriate to the evidence. Your conclusion, like this, is somewhat similar to a prediction, an inference, because you base on something to draw the conclusion on something else, and that's the inference. And you can see for the TOEFL exam, we also have inference question. Is it right? Yeah. We have to make it very close to the facts. Very close, we have to base on the facts to make very close inference. Don't make the inference too far away. Right? Then you can see a more moderate conclusion makes the inference stronger. Then it is less likely to be attacked. People, don't feel the need to argue with you. However, if you overstate or an overstated argument or conclusion makes the inference weaker, you are going to review many weak points or your weaknesses, and those are the places that people can just focus on to attack. That's what we do in the thesis defense. We just want to see the logic and whether it is possible to come to the conclusion. Right? Have a look at this. None of the medical doctors TIEN THINH has ever met smoked cigarettes while examining her. This is the sample population, is it right? Then we have to ask the question, how many doctors has TIEN THINH met? 2, 5, 10, 20, 50? When we say 50, it means she gets sick so often. Yeah. And you can see, let's say, maybe 20, and none of them smoked while examining her. And the conclusion If we say, so no doctors smoke cigarettes while examining patients, the conclusion, we can say very few doctors. Because in fact, there are cases that doctors smoked and we don't know. We haven't got the chance to meet those people, to meet those doctors. But it doesn't mean that, yeah, there doesn't exist, yeah, doctors like that. Okay? We say Công Bằng has visited Cô Thạch Beach in Phan Thiết in June several times, and the weather has always great, sunny skies, temperatures in 30s. So there's a good chance that Cô Thạch Beach usually has great weather in June. See? Even, this guy has visited, this beach a few times, and all the time he went there, the weather was great, good weather. Then we cannot, and even in June as well, and we cannot claim that, yeah, Cô Thạch Beach always has great weather in June. Because in fact, maybe it is June in a few years, and those are the years that Công Bằng didn't visit this place. And maybe at that time, it was not good weather. Right? Yeah. Then if we just say, yeah, usually, we don't say always. So you can see here comes, yeah, the list of, a few arguments. We have 10 arguments. And decide whether it is a strong inductive argument or maybe weak inductive argument. I mean, strong and weak here refers to, yeah, the logic. I don't refer to the words, I don't refer to the tone of the argument. Because in some arguments, the tone is so strong, the person is so powerful, giving strong, persuasive, powerful words. But does it mean that that argument is strong? No. Sometimes the argument is nasty, is nothing. But the way the person is so powerful, the person is so strong, with tattoos everywhere in the body, and with a very loud voice, powerful words, it's like the person just likes to impress people. Sounds very strong, but strong in the way of words, not logic. And we are talking about strong and weak here. It's about logic, right? Now we just have a look at a few examples. We don't go over all of them. It's your job. Now, number one, all the hunters Ted knows eat the meat from the animals they kill. All the hunters he knows. So it is possible that many hunters eat the animals they kill. Do you think it's strong or weak? If you say strong, you're right. You can see we have the word it is possible, just a possibility. And also we use the word many as well. I'm going too fast. And many as well. Yeah. What about the second one? All the blonde men Sarah knows are exceedingly intelligent. So it must be that all blonde men are exceedingly intelligent. Sarah has met a few blonde men. How many? Think about that. 10, 20, 100? And now the conclusion is to all the blonde men. Strong or weak? The logic is weak. Is it right? Weak in the way the person uses the word it must be. Then it's more for deductive argument, right? And also we have the word on. You go to a so big population as a whole. You can just improve on this by saying, yeah, so it might be that many plant men are exceedingly intelligent. Sounds much better. Think about this, because you are going to use this technique in order to give conclusion for your reports, for your projects. Because in fact, for an issue, there are two sides always. We have counter arguments. You also have your own arguments. You also have your own evidence. But does it mean that your conclusion is the only one, is the best? It can be the best, but it's not the only one. Then you have to use the words like this, and we use it is called hedges. 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 Okay. What about number 3? Some students sell back this textbook at the end of the semester. Yeah, we have this phenomenon. After the course, many students, they would love to, maybe get back some money on textbooks, and they just sell their own textbooks at very low price. Yeah. Maybe if you buy this textbook, I'm going to give you promotion. Candies, a coffee, and maybe, some comic books, something like that. Now, so it is likely that all the students sell back, most of their textbooks. Some, and then all the students. It is likely, okay. But all the students, that's so big population from some students, right? This is weak. We can improve by saying, so it is likely that a few students sounds better. Some, a few. You can just make it stronger a little bit by saying many students, but don't say all the students. Now, number 4. The 15 winters Eric spent in New York were cold. 15 winters. We have just one winter a year. It means it's 15 years. Lots of exposure, lots of experience. So it may be that still the person used the word maybe. Most winters in New York are cold. This is strong. Is it right? Yeah, you can use the word most. Yeah. How many years in your life can you live? 60, but now it's 15 already. That's lots of experience, right? This is strong. But if you still want to make it less likely, you can say many winters. But sometimes we just want to emphasize on something, and we may want to make it a little bit stronger than what the evidence allows, right? Sometimes in reality it depends on the purpose, and we decide we intentionally to make it stronger. Okay, now so in order to evaluate inductive arguments, inductive generalizations, we need to ask 3 questions. What are the 3 questions? Parameters true or not? The sample, is it big enough or not? And also, is the sample representative? That's very important. Think about these 3 questions when you design your questionnaires in the future for your research. Your questionnaire is the tool for you to get the data, and if the tool has problem, of course there is problem with the data. The tool is important, is it right? You use the tool to make something, and if there's faults in the tool, of course the product is not perfect. It's not as you expect. And remember, for this one, an inductive generalization is good only if we can answer yes. to all the questions. That it is considered a good inductive generalization. Right? Think about the situation today. Yeah. We have many situations today. To get the public opinion, yeah, we cannot get, the opinions from all the people. We often have the sample population. And from the sample, we base on that to draw our own conclusion. We talk about policy. Before we apply the new policy, we often ask for opinions, for feedback from people. Think about the feedback. How large is it? Is it representative? Is it true? Yeah. Most CEOs of Fortune 500 companies are women. So the CEOs of big businesses are probably women. Sounds very logical, right? Yeah. So from the Fortune 500 companies, we draw the conclusion to big businesses. Now the fact is that the premise is false. Yeah, most of CEOs are women. That's the problem. And if we base on the false premise, that's a lot of problem. Think about your thesis in the future, your research in the future. You base on the wrong concept, for example, definition, and you base on that to do your research. The concept is wrong right at the beginning. The foundation is wrong. How can your finding be reliable? This is the basic, is it right? Think about building a house. You can build a very big house, beautiful house, with maybe 4, 5 stories. Lots of decorations, so modern, so beautiful. But the thing is, now we find out that there's a problem with the foundation. Yeah. Maybe the base is not strong enough. Yeah. You didn't do enough processing to the base. And now, we know for sure it is not strong enough to hold the weight of the whole building. Then the building can be so beautiful, can be polished, can be modern. It is not considered a good construction. Is it right? Think about this one. Yeah. None of the thousands of rabbits Alan has come across has tried to attack him. Wow, he's a real hunter. Thousands of rabbits. He's done this all his life. So most rabbits are not inclined to attack humans. You can see this is large, simple. I taught 3 students with purple hair last semester. Purple hair. And all of them were A students. I don't know whether your hair is purple. Yeah. Students with purple hair are A students. Then you can just dye your hair in purple. So all the students with purple hair must be A students. You can see from only 3 students, and we draw the conclusion to all the students. Don't have the logic like that. Okay? For example, you see some of your friends, they have purple hair, and then they are good students, and then you just go dye your hair purple with the wish that you are going to be a good student. Is that a logic? Or many boys here? Think about this. You want to attract the girls, And you can see on TV the Korean stars or the hot boys today, they dye their hair in different colors. They put on lipstick. They use eyeliner as well to appear beautifully, gorgeous. And you want to attract, you want to impress the girls, you know. You do the same thing. Can you impress the girls? Can you win their hearts with that? Think about this. Or are you just making a monkey out of yourself? Right? Think about this. Yeah. And you can see the lesson is quite simple, but it's a lot of lessons for life. Now, 2 nuclear bombs were dropped in Japan, and today Japan has one of the strongest economies in the world. And we say, so all the concern about nuclear warfare and the end of humankind is just a bunch of nonsense. It's more, yeah, it's not so serious to talk about, I say here, nuclear bombs, because just have a look at, Japan. They received 2 nuclear bombs, and now, yeah, Japan has become the strongest, one of the strongest economies in the world. Then based on that, and we say, yeah, nuclear bombs are not so serious. Think of the population, the sample. Too small, just one country, not representative. Have you considered the personalities, the lifestyles, the characteristics of the Japanese? If this happened to another country, would this country also become one of the strongest economies in the world? That's a question. Right? You can think about in some of the serious events, earthquakes. Yeah. And you can see the Japanese people, they can still, they queue, they stand in line. They can still keep to the law, to the rules. Maybe it is one of the personality traits that help the countries to develop. Right? Yeah. Now we also have, a few examples here, and you can decide whether the sample is large enough and is representative enough. Yeah. You can also think about your research in the future. Yeah. All the millions of rubies, that have gathered, from around the world are red. So the chances are that good that most of the rubies in the world are red. Millions of rubies, large enough, representative for the conclusion. All the guys who live in Jim's dorm room on the 1st floor and Fred's dorm room on the 3rd floor heard the fire alarm ring last night. So it is plausible that many of the guys aren't so strong. Most guys who watch the Super Bowl at Wexford College are unprepared for the class next day. So most students who watch are properly unprepared. You can see, most guys, we just talk about the males. We don't mention the females. But now the conclusion is, we have most students, the females as well. It means males and females. Think about this for your research in the future. You have the conclusion on international students. I say students at international university, I'm sorry. And who do you ask? Who do you survey? You survey just males, not females. and you just conclude with all the students at international university? Even to use the word representative, we have to focus on, for example, you just ask people on the odd days, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and you don't ask people on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday because you are busy on those days. But the answer can be different, right? You base on the people on the odd days, but who knows? The people on the even days can have different answers, different responses. Right? Think about the word representative. Even think about the age groups as well. Yeah, that's representative. Now let's go to opinion polls. Opinion polls, you can see, is one of the ways people do in order to get the public opinion. Yeah, for example, in our class, let's say we have 120 students, and I say, wow, I'm holding a trip to end of course trip for us to relax, and there are two places, Nha Trang and Phan Thiết. I don't know where to go. And then I just ask for, the majority, and I just follow the majority, right? And then in our class, let's say just more than 50% decide to go to Nha Trang, then I'll go with Nha Trang. You can see, same thing in reality, same thing in politics, same thing in events, same thing in all the organizations. We use the opinion polls in order to get the public opinion. Even you just create many, I say, groups on Zalo, and even on Zalo, on Facebook, you have the polls as well. Yeah, then the aim is determine what a large population thinks or believes about some certain issue. Okay? Yeah. So talking about opinion polls, we need to talk about the basic standards, and we also talk about the accepted, margin as well. Yeah, let's talk about the word margin of error. What does it mean, margin of error? The word margin, right? When you just compose maybe a letter, an exercise or something with Microsoft Word, you have the word margin. So the space from the edge of the paper to, I say, the line of your, to begin the beginning of your writing, of your text. That's the margin. We have the left margin, right margin, the top margin, and the bottom margin. You can see that in page setup. Margin can also be used in finance and banking. Yeah, we have, margin of interest. Yeah, for example, you just, buy a house, but you don't have enough money, and you go with the bank agrees to pay 70% for you, and you pay just 30%, and you are going to pay, certain sum of money every month. They are going to charge on the interest. And maybe at the beginning, to interest you, to attract you, they give low interest. And you think, oh, I can just do it. But you do not pay in 1 year, right? You can pay in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 25 years. And if they raise the interest year by year, up to maybe more than 15%, that's a lot of payment, right? Over 25 years. And maybe in some situations, people cannot afford to pay the interest, very high interest rates. Then the law in Vietnam, we rule that the bank has to follow the margin of error. What is the maximum margin? Yeah, it is controlled by the government. just to make sure, the bank doesn't get, higher than the margin. It means they cannot charge freely as they wish. They have to follow. That's the word margin. But now let's come back to margin. In opinion polls. That is like you can see the margin of error and the number polled. It means if you asked more people, 4,000 people, it's very high possibility that the answer is accurate. 6,000-7,000 students in IU and you ask 4,000. Very high possibility, right? However, if you ask just 100 students, see? When you have, the bigger number in the margin of error, it means, there can be more errors. Higher possibility for the answer to be wrong. Imagine, right? 6,000 students and you ask just 100 students. Now 6,000 students and you ask 4,000 students. Right? Think about this one. Think about your group work, your projects. There are 10 people. If you ask just 2 people and you say, that's the group's opinion. Is it correct? Now 10 people, you ask 9 people, that's very high possibility. But 10 and you ask just 2. Think about that. Sometimes it's the group's interest, not the group's opinion. Right? Okay, so now we just get back. Now let's go to the second point, the second issue. You can see I spent a lot of time on the first one because it's closely connected to what you are going to do in the future. And that's why I just, elaborate on that. Now let's go to statistical arguments. We also have this as well. It sounds more with mathematics, right? Then in fact, it's an argument that you argue from the premises regarding the percentage of population. You focus on the percentage and you draw a conclusion to the individual. You can see now it's just the opposite from generalization, from the small one to the big ones. But now statistical, from the big population, we draw a conclusion to the members. 90% of the college students are in favor of not having a cumulative final exam in the critical thinking class. Cumulative? There are 10 chapters we learned in the whole course, 5 chapters for the midterm and 5 chapters for the final. And in the final, we just focus on the last 5 chapters. Now if we have the cumulative exam, it means we just put everything we have learned into the exam. Then that's 10 chapters for the final exam. That's cumulative. But you can see 90% of the college students are in favor of not having. They don't agree with having a cumulative exam. Maybe it's too challenging. And answer logically in assessment and testing, that's not logical. Why not? Because we have tested the other five chapters already. Why do we need to bother to test again? Then maybe some issues can be tested 2 times. At the meantime, a few issues are not tested. Right? That's an issue to discuss in the area of assessment and testing. However, when some notions can be the basic for other concepts, like today we talk about the basic concepts, and even those concepts are in the previous 5 chapters, these can be on the exam as well because they lay the foundation for the new concepts. Now let's come back to this one. Now 90% of the students are in favor of not having the cumulative exam, and Vera Patterson is a college student. Then Vera Patterson is in favor of not having, right? Then from the 90%, we draw the conclusion to one person because it's very high possibility that this person belongs to the 90%. Yeah. Sometimes it can be a little bit tricky. Have a look at this. Only 3% of Wexford College students are against building the new gymnasium, like the sports center. And Johnny is a Wexford College student. Then so Johnny is not against. Then you can see 3% are against. It means 97% supports. Johnny not against. It means Johnny supports. High possibility, is it right? Yeah. To be among the 97%. This is a strong argument. If we soften the argument, Johnny is properly, it becomes stronger. Because we allow chances for other possibilities, although it's just 3%. Have a look at this. Then in this case, only 3% are against. Johnny is against. 3% against, it means 97 supports. Johnny is against. Then Johnny belongs to the other 3%. It's a weak argument. Is it right? You can see right from the statistics. That's a weak argument. Then for example, you do the survey. Yeah. And very low percentage of the students consider this model as effective. Very low percentage. And your conclusion is that this model is effective? That's a weak argument, right? Think about this. And even when you just soften, Johnny is properly against, it is still weak because the percentage is very small. Then think about the percentage. Think about the findings for your research in the future. So understanding statistical arguments, we just talk about the idea whether it is strong or weak. We talk about the idea, how strong, how is it to be strong? And most people think about the idea of the word 50%. More than 50% means strong. Is it true? Think about your course score. In Vietnam, 50% is like the average. When you reach 50 points, you can just pass the course. Because we believe that 50 points, 50% is the evidence to say that, you are okay. You have gained the basic level of knowledge for the course. And you are allowed to move on to the next course. We are happy to give you a pass for 50%. 50 points. But you can see the idea, of how strong 50% or 60%. We also talk about the idea of the word reliability. Sometimes you can see 50%, but it's not reliable, right? In here. In our class, 120 students and 61 students. It means more than 50% agree to go to Nha Trang, and they decide to go to Nha Trang. But it's unfair. Many students many other students do not agree. They say that it's not reliable. So 49, 51, that's more or less the same. Is it right? Yeah, then maybe it sounds strong, but it is not reliable. And thinking about the word reliability, that depends on the judge's stance. It depends on the practicality. Then coming back to about the cost score, 50 points, we consider that's reliable. That's reliable evidence, right? In Vietnam. And that's why we just give you a pass for 50. But think about some universities in the US, in the UK. 50%, 50 points. Yeah, it's not the reliable evidence. They believe that only when a student gets 70 points, then that's reliable. Then only until you get at least 70, you can just pass the course. Then again, reliability, it depends. Is it right? Think about investment as well, right? You want to invest in the stock market. What are the chances for you to be successful, to win, to get money? Some people, they like to take risks. 60% they do it already. These people may have lots of money. If they lose, they still have backups. Some people are not so rich, and they just consider all of the aspects. 60%, yeah. The chance to lose is still very high. They wait until it's up to 80%. But in fact, in investment, you have to take risks sometimes. Is it right? If you wait until you have 80% of the chance to win, at that time, other people have got your chance already. So let's come back. Yeah, no more investment. Let's come back to reliability. Then think about this one. It is quite personal. It is the judge's bet. Again, it's like we set up the criteria, and it depends on the schools, it depends on the organizations. Is it right? Yeah. In this case, you can see 97% strong, of course. Yeah. And reliable. In this case, 55% of Wexford students voted for Watkins as Teacher of the Year. Aileen is a Wexford student, so Aileen also voted for Watkins. 55% voted, you can see, as I have said. Yeah. A little bit, higher than the borderline, then not very strong. And of course, this is not reliable. Yeah. And this one, 76%. Yeah, quite strong, but again, not so reliable. In research, when people just do the calculation, yeah, reliability is set at 75%. No, sorry, 95%. That's very high possibility, right? Because in research, we need to have concrete evidence in order to come to the conclusion. Yeah. In this case, you can see we can just soften the argument to make it a little bit stronger by using the word will properly. Remember these words for your conclusion for your project, and even for conclusion for your thesis in the future. Yeah, so remember, when evaluating statistical arguments, think about the percentage. Think about the confidence, or reliability. And when you do your research in the future, think about this, especially surveys. Yeah. Now another thing we discuss is reference class. Reference class here refers to the group that your statistics apply. Okay? Then the rule is very clear. When I say the group is specific, the more specific it is, the better your argument is. 90% of the children in Ho Chi Minh City receive gifts from Santa Claus on Christmas night. And Tuyết Nhi is a child living in Ho Chi Minh City, so probably Tuyết Nhi will receive a gift from Santa Claus on Christmas night. You can see? Then we just put Tuyết Nhi in the group. The statistics, 90% sorry, of the children in Ho Chi Minh City, and see how many children in Ho Chi Minh City we have. Yeah, then maybe the other 10% is also a very big number. Is it right? Yeah. The reference class here is the children in Ho Chi Minh City. Now I just give you, here for you to see. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. So it covers, part of the screen already. Then you can see here, we go from the more general to more specific. 90% of the students studying in Ho Chi Minh City are smart, flexible, and active. An Nguyen is a student studying in this city, so An Nguyen is also smart, flexible, and active. An Nguyen belongs to the 90% of the students. But let's see how many students are studying in Ho Chi Minh City. Yeah, we have a lot. Is it right? And then the other 10% is also a big number. Now 90% of the students studying in IU are smart. In IU we have 6,000. So now it's more possible. Now 90% of the students studying in BA. You can see the group is smaller, is more specific, then we have more chances for the conclusion to be correct, to be accurate. And now, very close, 90% of the students studying critical thinking in Mr. Thinh's class. We have just 120 students, and 90%, let's see, very high percentage. Right? Yeah. Then also think about the reference class as well. What I mean is, this is the narrow down of your topic for your thesis, right? You want to find the statistics, the attitudes of the students about studying Zoom, studying online via Zoom. See who you ask, right? For example, you ask, let's say, just the students in the linguistics program. And then the title of the topic should be an exploration of attitudes of the students in the linguistics program. You can see it's very close. Don't put it things like students in Ho Chi Minh City or students in universities in Vietnam. That can be too large. Think about this. Yeah, so you can see there are still other parts, but I need you to just read at home for me. Now let's go to arguments from analogy. This part is shorter, I guess. I hope. No, I promise. You can see the word analogy. Analogy is like comparison, right? Yeah. We base on the similarities, and we often have this in reality to have arguments. For example, we just bring a new textbook to this school, and we say that, wow, we want to apply the textbook with the hope that we are going to improve the quality of teaching and learning. Why? Because this textbook has been used in the UK, and it brings great success. Arguments. And maybe the kids in the family, they want to just go to the park to play. They want to go to TIEN Park, and the parents say TIEN Park is also similar to Lam Sen Park, but TIEN Park is very far, so let's go to Lam Sen Park. Analogy, right? Yeah, and we have analogy, in fact, in many songs, events, stories. Do you know this song? Love to be loved by you. I guess loved, I miss D. Your beauty is like sunbeams on a summer street. Now let's listen.
I can't believe I'm standing here. Been waiting for so many years, and today I found the queen to reign my heart. You changed my life so patiently and turned it into something good and real. I feel just like I felt in all my dreams. There are questions hard to answer, can't you see? Baby, tell me, how can I tell you that I love you more than life? Show me, how can I show you that I'm blinded by your light? When you touch me, I can touch you to find out the dream is true. I love to be loved by you. You're looking kinda scared right now. You're waiting for the wedding vows, but I don't know if my tongue's able to talk. Your beauty is just blinding me, like sunbeams on a summer stream, and I gotta close my eyes to protect me. Can you take my hand and lead me from here, please? Yeah, baby, tell me, how can I tell you that I love you more than life? Show me, how can I show you that I'm blinded by your light? When you touch me, I can touch you to find out the dream is true. I love to be loved. I need to be loved. I love to be loved by you. I know they're gonna say our love's not strong enough to last forever, and I know they're gonna say that we'll give up because of heavy weather. But how can they understand that our love is just heaven sent? We keep on going on and on, 'cause this is where we both belong. Baby, tell me, how can I tell you I love you more? I always love you more than life. Show me how that I'm blinded by your light. Yeah, when you touch me, I can touch you. Baby, when you touch me, don't you know I love to be loved? I need to be loved. I love to be loved by you. Yes, I love to be loved by you.
Okay? Yeah. So your beauty is like sunbeams on a summer stream, and I've got to close my eyes to protect. So beautiful. But is it logical comparison? Sounds sweet. Is it right? What about this in a romantic story? Do you know this story? Yeah, the two couples. Yeah, they just go to they have a first date and they go to a very romantic, coffee shop. They sit in the corner, so sweet, so quiet, so peaceful, in a very romantic, chilling, emotional atmosphere. The girl just, turns to the boy and say, "Do you love me?" And the boy says, "Yes, yes, of course, you know how much I love you." The girl continues, "How much? Tell me." The boy, maybe he's not ready for the situation. He just says, and he just looks for the answer. And the girl keeps going, "How much?" The boy just looks out onto the river. This story happened a few years ago. And he saw things floating on the river. Based on his experience, he just makes a comparison. My love for you is like rubbish on this river, everlasting, never end. Now the females just consider, how would you react when your boyfriend compares your sweet, emotional love with rubbish? Is it appropriate comparison? So love smells terribly. Just joking. But you can see this is, the idea for us to consider about the idea of appropriacy in comparison. Right? Then in fact, when we compare, we have to think about the similarities. Right? Have a look at this. The post office is a government agency. The Department of Motor Vehicles is also a government agency. The post office is closed for Martin Luther King Day, so the Department of Motor Vehicles must also be closed for Martin Luther King Day. They have, the same similarity as government agency. Right? It's like, TIEN Park, has the roller coaster, and TIEN Park also has the roller coaster. Now TIEN Park has another activity, then TIEN also has that activity. Something like that. And sometimes we talk about person in family as well. Sometimes you also compare your boyfriend, your girlfriend with other ones. Okay? Now, you can have a look at this. So the post office and the Department of Motor Vehicles are both government agencies. One similarity. They were both closed on Veterans Day. Two similarities. The post office is closed for Martin Luther King Day. Then the department is also closed, must be closed on that day. Then we have two similarities. More chances. Is it right? Yeah. Then you can talk about maybe, International University is also a member of Vietnam National University, Ho Chi Minh City. And the University of Natural Science is also a member of Vietnam National University, Ho Chi Minh City. And then, so one has this feature, the other also has that feature. Right? That's analogy. So in fact, we are going to count on the number of similarities when we have more similarities. Think about the example of textbooks again. When you apply, you employ, you use the textbook from another country, you have to think about the context as well. How similar is that context to the context we use in Vietnam? Does it mean that we apply the modern criteria in other countries and we use those criteria for people in Vietnam, in this organization, and it's going to be successful? Think about this. Ladies, you can think about this. You see some fashion models, they wear this kind of clothes, this kind of dress, looks so sexy, so beautiful. Does it mean that when you buy the clothes and you put on the clothes, you also look as you wish? Right? Think about this one as well. Yeah. Then remember, when we evaluate arguments from analogy, think about the fallacy of weak analogy. Right? Yeah. The fallacy that results from comparing two things that are not really comparable. Very, very basic in life. You can think about this. When you have your boyfriend, you have your husband in the future, don't just compare your husband with other guys. Right? Your husband may have this, weakness, but he may have, many other strengths. And you cannot compare his weakness to other people's strengths. For example, you say, other guys, other husbands bring home very high salaries every month. Other guys, give the other guys give, other husbands give the wife a very comfortable, luxury life with many comforts, car, swimming pool in the house as well. And you go on expensive trips abroad. And now you compare to your husband cannot give you those things. Don't say that. Why don't you say something like your husband is wonderful in taking care of you? Other guys, can they do that? No. They just, give maybe their wives money and comfort, but not a wonderful emotional life. Your husband can cook, can do the housework, can help you when you are sick. Other guys, other husbands, can they do so? Is it right? Yeah. Then think about analogy. Because when we are angry, we often have this kind of fallacy, the weak analogy. However, if we have a wonderful analogy, that's great. Example, we want to apply a new policy in IU. And we want to apply, what is happening, what is going on in RMIT. We just compare IU and that institution. We just list the similarities, the context, the students, and things. Yeah. And if we have many similarities, it means there is also high possibility that when we apply that policy, there's a chance to be successful. We always have to compare and see the context. Right? Yeah. And think about this. Tiffany, Heather, and Heather are both tall and they play basketball. Tiffany also plays volleyball. We have two similarities. They are tall and they play basketball, right? Yeah. And this, Tiffany, Heather, Amber, and Chrissy are on tone and play basketball. You can see, yeah, even 4 similarities. Then in fact, we can even, make it stronger by, listing more similarities. Right? This is the foundation for your argument. You do your research, is it right? And then you can see, an idea, a claim is stated by a person. If it is stated by more people, that's more powerful. You have your findings, the conclusion, and you say it is in line with another research study. Great. But if you can find more similarities, it means many of your findings are also in line with many other research studies. Then that's great. It means, you can just have a cutting edge on scientific research, because it's similar to other findings in the area of research. It means it's appropriate, it's logical, right? You're doing the right thing. Yeah. Then remember, for analogy, we need to specify the conclusion relatively to the premise. Again, this is inductive argument. Even for this one, we have 4, similarities, and we say, so Heather must also play. Still sound strong, is it right? How can you use the word must? You can just make it softer by saying, so Heather must have played a game of volleyball sometime in the past. Or maybe Heather may also play volleyball. Right? So I guess that's enough for the lesson for today. For the arguments from causal arguments, you can just read the pages in the material. But remember, the main focus of this lesson is we just try to make our arguments stronger, even though the conclusion is just possibilities. Right? Think about the techniques. Think about what you are going to do in the project. Think about what you are going to do in your real life, in your research study. Make sure the conclusion is just relevant to the premises. It is less likely to be attacked. Okay? Don't try to be so strong and you are going to reveal your weakness and people are going to attack that point. Then maybe you are going to reveal your critical premise and people can just attack that critical premise and you fail. Especially for the thesis defense in the future. Think about logic. Think about how you can come to the conclusion. Think about the foundation for your data, for your argument. Think about the framework. Think about reliability of your data, of your method, of your tune as well. Okay? So I guess that's enough for today. Thank you very much for joining the class. If you have any questions or concerns, just leave a comment. Thank you very much and goodbye.